From a relaunch that had everyone excited,
Everything's running nice and smooth.
And how's your cocktail?
It's delicious.
to a flood of one-star reviews just months later, here are bars from Bar Rescue that got worse ratings after Jon Taffer's help. Starting with Schaefer's Bar and Grill, a once successful neighborhood bar that slowly crashed after a change in ownership from Chef Schaefer to Nita Wyatt and Ryan Burke.
I was making some decisions to free up some time for myself and my family, and that's when Ryan and Nita came to me and made an offer on Schaefer's Bar and Grill.
In an effort to avoid a rocky transition, they made the unusual decision to keep Jeff on as manager. On paper, it made sense, but in reality, it created a power struggle that quickly spiraled out of control.
We've never done it that way.
Well, that's the way I want it done, because then I can just look at it and see how many bottles.
But that's not the right way to do it.
Instead of moving forward, the bar became stuck between two identities. Jeff held tightly to the old way of doing things, resisting updates and changes the new owners wanted to implement. Eventually, the business, which usually pulls in over $1 million a year, began to fall into chaos.
It's nuts. Jeff doesn't run the same business Nita and Ryan do. So that's when ideas clash.
Everything reached up to the point where they were in debt for $500,000, and the current owners thought Jeff had an ulterior motive behind his actions.
I feel that Jeff is trying to sabotage the business because if we fail, Jeff can get this bar back for a lot less money than what we paid for this bar. We're about $500,000 in debt here. We will lose our house, the bar.
After making a call to Bar Rescue, Jon Taffer stepped in with a full reset, cleaning the kitchen, retraining the staff, and pushing the owners to finally take control.
I want you to put every employee in this building on probation.
No.
And say it.
You guys have 24 hours to get your together. And you may or may not have a job at the end of it.
Even making the tough call to let Jeff go.
In the course of the last year, I've lost some drive, so I understand that decision.
You're gonna be okay.
The bar was rebranded as Arlee's, with a more modern look and updated menu, and for a moment, it seemed like things were heading in the right direction, but that turnaround didn't last. Shortly after filming ended, the owners reverted the name back to Schaefer's Bar and Grill and openly pushed back against the changes, even claiming parts of the rescue were staged. As expected, consistency slipped again, and the bar cycled through yet another rebrand, this time becoming Scorpion Lounge and Steakhouse, which also didn't seem like it worked. Online reviews reflected this instability, hovering around average ratings, showing that the improvements never truly stuck. One reviewer wrote, "Food poisoning! I should have looked at reviews prior to ordering food, but this is one of the very few places that does Uber Eats by my house, so I just went for it. Paid all night long for that mistake." Another wrote, "This place has rats. I saw one running across the floor. The facility is unsanitary, even after Jon Taffer's Bar Rescue." With more mixed and negative feedback coming in, the bar stayed average at 2.4-star ratings, proving the fixes were nothing more than temporary. Eventually, everything came to an end in early 2020 when the bar shut down for good. Schaefer's constant identity crisis proved that a rescue can't work without commitment, and over in Jacksonville, Fatballs would fall into that same trap in an even messier way. It was a struggling bar owned by Tony and Nagwa Azer, which was weighed down by poor management, a failing marriage, and a name that turned customers away even before they stepped inside.
Tony's kind of chunky, and maybe he has fat balls, but I don't understand how it relates to the sports bar. I'm done.
This is definitely not the future I want to give her.
Fat balls. So if that's the decision they made in a brand and a sign, would you expect that they made any other decisions well?
By the time Jon Taffer stepped in, the bar was already in huge debt.
Fatballs is losing over $10,000 a month, with Tony and Najwa sinking into $50,000 worth of debt.
If we fail, then we've basically not only failed ourselves, but we've failed our kids as well.
Seeing that they are on the verge of losing everything, Jon took his time to closely observe the bar. And that was when he realized that the staff lacked even basic training. Drinks were poorly made.
Come taste it. Come on, Connie. Is that right, Tony? What about the next one? Is that right?
Fat ball, cherry bomb. It's a water.
Terrible.
And the kitchen couldn't keep up with simple orders. Eventually, tensions hit a breaking point when a cook openly disrespected Jon after he requested his food, forcing Tony to finally step up and fire him, something he had been hesitant to do all along.
Who said that? What did you say?
I said you're gonna get your food when it's prepared. You gotta be patient.
Is that the kind of employee you want here?
Is this the way we talk to customers, man? I mean, yeah, but how can we run a professional business? Man, listen, I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. You got to go, man. I'm sorry. You got to get out of here.
From there, Jon pushed for a full reset. The kitchen was cleaned, the staff retrained, and the entire concept was reworked into a New Orleans-style bar called the Bayou. The relaunch went smoothly, with better food, improved drinks, and a calmer Tony finally taking control.
This is our menu for tonight, guys. I suggest the roast beef po' boy.
Let me try those shrimp beignets. All right, I got y'all.
Yeah, very nice.
The decor's better, the food's better, the service is better.
For a moment, it looked like the bar had turned a corner, but that didn't last. Shortly after the rescue, Tony reverted the name back to Fatballs, undoing one of the biggest changes Jon had made. Not long after, health inspections revealed serious violations, including rodent droppings and unsafe food storage. As these issues piled up, customers lost confidence in the bar, leading to a wave of negative reviews that it couldn't recover from. One customer said, "Just left Fatballs Sports Bar where they tried to charge me 18% gratuity for a bill that was not at the printed standard for charging 18%. They have a printed policy that they'll charge anyone 18% gratuity if the bill is $35 or more. My bill was $34.89, and they still charged me the gratuity. When I asked them to take it off, they refused to until I spent 25 minutes of my life explaining how they were wrong." Another said, "Walking up, I noticed trash outside in front of the restaurant. This should have been the first sign to turn around. However, I chose to go ahead and eat here. Needless to say, I was not impressed at all. We waited for over an hour for our food to come out, and I won't be back to this establishment ever again." And finally, in May 2019, Fatballs closed for good, which was just a few months after the episode aired on TV. All these negative reviews after the show and the lack of long-term commitment proved costly, leaving the bar stuck at a 2.7 star rating from Yelp. And if that was a case of a bar fixing everything only to undo it themselves, the next bar barely held it together long enough to see if the changes could even work. Marley's on the Beach, a beachfront bar in Warwick, was run by husband and wife Kevin and Michelle, who had already sunk over $170,000 into the business, only to find themselves drowning in debt and receiving persistent bad reviews from customers.
I wouldn't even let my dog eat the scraps from here.
At some point, they were losing $4,000 in a month. The financial pressure was constant, and it started affecting both their decisions and their marriage.
It's like, you know what? Go away.
Michelle and I have always had problem communicating, and I don't want my marriage to end over this.
When Jon Taffer arrived, the bar was understaffed. The service was painfully slow, and Kevin often stayed hidden in the office while chaos unfolded on the floor.
Looking at it, and I grabbed two different things.
This is all up. I made exactly what I was supposed to, Elise. Not looking at the slips once again.
So as the business is sinking, he's sitting down there.
That's no good.
This lack of presence made it difficult for the staff to stay organized or confident in what they were doing.
What is this, a joke? Tired.
We're all feeling a little frustrated. We've been waiting for an hour for drinks.
I'm running out of patience right now.
In the kitchen, things were no better. Food was served at unsafe temperatures. Recipes were done incorrectly. And the staff were tense, especially cook Diana, who left the kitchen in anger when Jon scolded her.
Serious health violations. Do you understand? These are serious health violations. You're gonna shut this business down.
Nah, you.
Quitter! No wonder why you're a failure.
Despite the dysfunction, Taffer pushed forward with a full transformation, rebranding the bar into St. Michelle's Beach Club with a more upscale, dual day and night concept. The goal was to attract a wider range of customers and create a more polished experience during and after the relaunch. Fortunately, the relaunch looked promising, with improved food, better systems, and customers leaving satisfied.
Welcome to St. Michelle Beach Club. Come on in. I love the tropical flavor. I love all the fresh fruit. I'm drinking the out-of-office supply. It has Don Julio tequila, and it's actually really good.
However, the whole excitement was only for a brief moment. Almost immediately after filming, the owners rejected the new name and reverted to Marley's Beach Club, a compromise that already signaled resistance to Taffer's vision. As old habits crept back in, the cracks quickly reappeared. Service issues returned, food quality declined, and customers began noticing that not much had truly improved. And all these were evident in the reviews, when one customer said, "This bar was most certainly not rescued. 4 of us went for a drink on Sunday afternoon. After 20 minutes with no service, we left. I guess they didn't take the advice they were given. The staff is disorganized, and with no dress code, people were shirtless outside on the beach bar. Save your time and money, and don't bother with this place." Despite a strong intervention, resistance to change led to a rapid decline, with a 2.8 star rating on Yelp. Sadly, the bar couldn't last long. As of November 2013, Marley's on the Beach closed for good. Marley's bar was a clear example of how even a bar rescue makeover can fail when owners refuse to adapt. And in Houston, the next next bar would prove just how chaotic things can get when control is lost entirely. The Endzone Bar and Grill in Houston had all the ingredients for success: a prime location near major sporting venues and a history of strong revenue. But when Jon Taffer arrived, what he found was pure chaos.
This place is out there. I brought you on. Really? What the are you talking about?
Before even stepping inside, John witnessed a full-on fight break out between customers, followed by a misunderstanding between the owners, Justin Whitfield and Sean, immediately setting the tone for what kind of bar this really was.
This is a business place. Do you believe this?
It's disrespecting your guests.
Look at this. How the do I walk into this?
Inside, the situation only got worse. Bartenders were drinking on the job, the floors were sticky, and hygiene standards were practically non-existent. Even the kitchen raised serious concerns, with food being prepared in unsanitary conditions that could easily turn customers away for good.
Look at this kitchen. Look at that mess. Look at the dirt.
They're gonna make people sick.
However, John brought in experts to fix things, retraining the bartenders in cleaning up the kitchen. To make the rescue more impactful, a full renovation followed, transforming the bar into Houston's sports hub.
Sports hub, your own brand.
With updated systems, new decor, and a clearer sports-focused identity. At first, the relaunch suggested a fresh start, and for a while, it seemed like the bar might finally be heading in the right direction as everyone enjoyed the moment.
Good job, guys!
It's a machine! Go, girl! Look, is he smiling, happy?
But just like many others, that progress didn't stick. Not long after the cameras left, the owners began drifting back toward their old habits, including changing their name to what it used to be before Bar Rescue. As they ignored John's changes and went back to their old ways, the negative reviews started creeping in about their management systems. One reviewer wrote, "Horribly managed. Don't waste your money. Came in for an NFL playoff game and there was like one server for about 40 to 50 customers." And another one, "We were looking for a nice clean place to have a couple of drinks. Google Maps suggested this bar every time we came to town. It's definitely a locals bar and felt very unwelcoming. The cashier system is a little strange. We probably won't be back, but perhaps a good local spot." Eventually, the bar closed by mid-2022 after it was sold and rebranded under new ownership as Player Sports Lounge. While the Endzone proved that even the best setup can fall apart without discipline, the next bar would show how quickly things collapse when the foundation was never solid to begin with. Stepping into the Wanted Saloon didn't exactly scream must-visit destination, and even Jon Taffer struggled just to find the place in the first place.
No freaking idea. Where the hell am I? How does anybody find this place?
The isolated location didn't help, but the real problems were inside. From a broken draft system to using residential kitchen appliances, the bar was already cutting corners in ways that could easily shut it down.
You know how illegal this is, right?
To be cooked in a slow cooker?
Well, first of all, you have no food service. This is a plastic material. It has to be stainless steel. It's an illegal material. That's a residential cooker, and there's no gloves back there.
The thing is, owners Ashley Warwick's and JD DeFore didn't start this as a failing business. JD was a musician who performed there, and the couple bought the bar, thinking it would be fun and profitable, but instead it quickly failed.
We ran almost completely out of food.
That's definitely not clean.
Everything's for sale in the bar.
While Ashley worked hard, even supporting the bar with her Air Force income, JD was often absent, creating tension that Jon Taffer didn't hold back on addressing.
I have to go to work and then come home and deal with the bar or,
So what time you get up in the morning to go to work?
6.
What's he doing then?
Sleeping.
He's sleeping late while you're at work.
Things got serious fast, especially when John openly called JD out and forced both owners to confront the reality of their situation.
And she told me you've completely let her down. Are you making enough of a living that you don't have to say no to your wife every day? Do you have your own place to live? You understand that your wife thinks less of you today than the day she married you. Do you understand that?
I guess I do.
That's serious stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't fix that, you're going to lose a lot more than this bar, correct?
Eventually, the turnaround came quickly. The bar was rebranded as the Dixon, with a renovated kitchen, a new identity, and even a custom beer to match its music town roots. At first, it seemed like the rescue worked. Sales reportedly doubled within weeks, and the bar leaned into its new branding. But unfortunately, that momentum didn't last. As customers started giving very bad reviews about the bar, everything came crashing down. Out of the many bad reviews, 2 stood out when a customer said, "Horrible service, and the owner has no customer customer service whatsoever. I don't recommend this place to anyone. Stay away from here and spend your money somewhere else. And what a joke of wanker owners. Ask them for a partial refund after finding an animal nail in my whiskey. Disgusting place and silly young owners. This review alone kept many potential customers from stepping into the bar, and with multiple reviews like this, the bar ended up stuck on a 2-star rating on Yelp. Meanwhile, not long after the episode aired, the Dixon Bar made a post on Facebook announcing that it would shut its doors on August 2018, less than a year after the rescue, as the owners decided to focus on their family. Even with a rebrand, some bars can't escape their struggles. Meanwhile, a few states away, another once promising spot faced a similar fate. The Grand Bar was a neighborhood bar that actually started off strong, with steady business and a clear opportunity to thrive in a high-traffic area. But that momentum didn't last. After the first couple of years, things began to slip when the owner, DJ Miller, stopped listening to feedback from his employees and tried to do everything instead of managing as the owner. Without proper leadership, the bar slowly drifted into debt, and the cracks started to show everywhere.
Tammy's telling me we're somewhere between $180,000 to $190,000 in debt right now. Losing control of the bar is really difficult for me.
When Jon Taffer stepped in, the problems were already piling up. The exterior failed to stand out, the drinks were inconsistent, and even the simplest cocktails required staff to stop and Google recipes mid-service.
What's interesting about this bar is that it has two competing concepts which confuses our demographic and drives away our customers. So we're going to need to align these into more of a cohesive environment.
A gimlet? A gimlet? Yeah.
Huh? A gimlet? Or a gimlet? Gimlet? Oh, I don't remember. I don't know how to make a gimlet. Look it up. That's what I do if I can't remember.
It didn't take long for Jon to realize that the bar couldn't continue like this, and the solution to all of these problems was a fresh reset. Jon rebranded the bar after DJ's daughter's name, Leia's, introduced a simpler food system, and pushed DJ to become a more supportive leader rather than a reactive one.
Sitting here working together is wonderful. And the ultimate winner of this is your daughter.
For a few weeks after the relaunch, sales improved. A younger crowd started coming in, and for a while, it seemed like the bar had finally found direction again. But just like many others, that progress didn't fully hold. As time went on, new problems replaced the old ones because the bar mostly operated at late hours. Fights, injuries, and repeated incidents began to define the bar's reputation, with some situations becoming serious enough to involve the Law Enforcement Commission, which revoked the bar's permit to operate after 11 p.m. With this revoked permit, Leia's bar finally closed for good in May 2022, but before then, it had received a few bad reviews that affected the business, especially one that said, "Very, very disappointed. We went here for karaoke, sat at our table, but no one acknowledged us, not even drinks." Aside from the bad reviews, they also have a not-so-good 2.7-star rating on Yelp, which completely crushed the bar's image. Although the rebrand seemed to work, old habits crept back quickly. Not far away, another college bar would face a similar cycle of chaos and poor reviews. As a college bar that leaned too far into chaos, the line between a fun night out and outright disorder had all but vanished. Because of that, it quickly earned a reputation for all the wrong reasons, like serving underage customers, facing repeated police raids, and being run by Darian Blanchard, an owner who seemed too hesitant to take control of his own bar. Then there were deeper issues behind the scenes, especially with how the staff behaved. Employees were drinking on the job, and the bartenders treated the place like a frat party, which they were proud to choose over making money.
Sometimes having a good time is slightly more important than making money.
Also, the security barely checked IDs, which became obvious when a fake ID test failed almost instantly.
There it goes. The fake ID just went in. You know what he's doing? He looks at it, but he's not reading it. He has no idea what name it says on that license or anything.
The environment only got worse as creepy interactions and unprofessional attitudes started driving customers away. With a debt of $400,000, Jon Taffer was forced to step in before things went beyond repair. His solution was a full renovation.
Darian's finances look bleak. He has borrowed $20,000 from his mom and is $400,000 in debt.
At first, he fired multiple staff members, retraining the team from scratch.
Split you guys up and start some training. I want you guys as far away from liquor bottles tonight as possible. So you're my first 2 trainees today. The rest of you guys go up to the bar, start working with Elaine, all right?
Yeah, we're gonna rip this place to shreds.
and build you guys a new bar.
And rebranding the bar as the Annex to distance it from its toxic reputation. With a new system, stricter ID checks, and a more structured approach, the bar reopened, looking like it finally had a chance. For a moment, it worked. As sales went up, operations improved, and it seemed like the turnaround had actually stuck. But that didn't last. Almost immediately after Jon left, the owner reverted to the old name, TJ Quills, undoing one of the biggest changes meant to reset the bar's image. And over time, the same patterns as the other bars started creeping back in. Some reviews after the show were just showing the difference between the rescue moment and the outcome. This was evident in these reviews saying, "Worst experience of my life since moving back to New Orleans by going there." And, "If I could give this place no stars, I would." However, they'd get a star, but were stuck at around 2.9 stars. Unlike other bars that closed after so many bad reviews, TJ Quills still remains open to date and somehow keeps its doors open despite it all. Some bars survive the chaos, but others crash harder when old habits return. Down in Austin, one eccentric spot would see its revival collapse in record time. Headhunters started as a very unusual bar in Austin, Texas, opened by Steve Ritchie, an engineer turned bar owner. When it first opened, the bar was pulling in nearly $70,000 a month, thanks to its extreme fetish shows and eccentric vibe that fit Austin's odd nightlife scene. Early on, Headhunters made a splash, but things quickly spiraled. By the time Jon Taffer arrived, the bar was filthy, and the smell of cat urine from the resident cat greeted every guest.
One of the dirtiest bars in Austin. I've witnessed a lot of really gross things here. Bodily fluids and cat piss.
Jon brought in his wife, Nicole, service expert Jesse Barnes, and best bartender Joe Brook to assess the situation. With their observations, Jon quickly realized the problems went deeper than just cleanliness and roaches in their drink.
So your staff is pulling your liquor bottles. They're telling me there's roaches here every day. You don't see it? You don't know it?
Steve was full of excuses and defensive about the bar's issues, even joking about the roaches seen during the visit.
I know what?
That there's bugs all over your bar.
There's bugs all over Austin. There's bugs all over America.
This guy is filled with excuses and holds himself unaccountable for everything.
However, that didn't stop the rescue process. Jon made staff legitimate employees, trained them on cocktails and customer service, and prepped the bar for a relaunch. The bar was renovated and rebranded as Metal and Lace, a steampunk-themed venue, complete with a new POS system and stylish uniforms.
You punch in a POS system. Now you got a brand, a bar, employees, everything that you can be proud of. Girls, we got you unbelievable Victorian steampunk costuming.
For a short time, the relaunch seemed promising, but Steve quickly returned to old habits and many locals still called it Headhunters. And that was when the bad reviews started flowing in. Yelp reviews reflected a disconnect between the TV makeover and reality. As one customer said, "Everyone that responded based on what they saw on Bar Rescue couldn't be more on the money. You cannot disguise a turd as a diamond. I went to this place when it was Headhunters way before that show came. The owner is a complete D-bag." And another who couldn't rate them at all. "Too bad 0 stars isn't an option. This place has always been, and always will be, the biggest shithole in Austin." Unfortunately, the overall reviews for Metal and Lace was really low, with a 1.8 star rating, and it closed in 2014, about a year after the episode aired, when the building was sold. Steve explored reopening elsewhere, but it never materialized because of his already poor track record, and it was obvious that a promising makeover doesn't guarantee a lasting change, and the next bar would quickly prove that resisting reform can sink a business fast. Piratz Tavern was a pirate-themed bar opened by Tracy Rebello in 2007 in Silver Spring, Maryland. Built entirely around a fantasy concept, the staff wore costumes, spoke in pirate slang, and treated every shift like a role-playing event. At first, uniqueness drew attention, but its unusual style quickly wore off, especially in a corporate-heavy area where customers were looking for a more traditional bar experience. Behind the theme, the business was collapsing, with Tracy nearly $900,000 in debt and even losing her house due to the bar's financial struggles.
I'm $900,000 in debt. I lost my house, my credit was shot, I had lost everything.
When Jon Taffer arrived, the problems were obvious almost immediately, the moment he read out the bad reviews from Yelp.
The Yelp reviews are terrible. Horrible service, horrible food, horrible tacky decor. Honestly, I would rather walk the plank than go back to this dump. No stars.
The staff lacked proper training, drinks and food quality were poor, and the pirate theme felt more like a barrier than a selling point.
Disgusting chunk of white, smelly, I couldn't even take a bite.
This sucks.
With these noticeable problems, Jon didn't hold back, calling the concept completely out of place for the area. He made it clear that the Pirates theme wasn't suitable for the corporate environment.
The problem with this bar is the concept. It's a pirate bar in Silver Spring, Maryland. Corporate people don't want to go have lunch in a pirate bar.
And without mincing words, he told them that the bar was also failing because of the quality of food they served to customers.
Shamed by the fact that you have menu lies, that you're serving food that is undercooked. What makes you ashamed?
Which the chef didn't take lightly or accept as his fault.
It's the worst I've ever seen. It stinks.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you should stop cooking tomorrow and not cook anymore. Your food stinks.
Jon faced many obstacles from the staff in his attempt to change the bar from its playful pirate theme to a more respected bar.
Funny that she's in debt $900,000?
No, it's not funny at all.
That's good to hear.
Neither is a grown man yelling at the top of his lungs at people who aren't children. I think I'll reserve my judgment to see how well you do exactly what you said.
But he still didn't give up. To fix things, he brought in experts to rebuild everything from scratch, especially the menu, service, and structure. Most notably, he stripped away the pirate identity entirely and rebranded the bar as Corporate Bar and Grill, a concept designed to attract the corporate workers and local professionals, which did not sit well with Tracy. However, during the relaunch night, Tracy already knew the concept wouldn't last for long since she never liked it to begin with.
I'm gonna sleep on it for a couple of days. Whether it becomes a pirate bar again, well, I can do anything I want.
Immediately after Jon left, they changed everything that Jon had rebranded back to fit the Pirates theme, including their name. As if that wasn't enough, they filmed a video where they burned the new sign while mocking Jon Taffer with a song and called the video Pirates Revenge.
You said you'd rescue us, you disrespected us, and our dreams you tried to kill. I never watched your show, I had no way to know what a bastard you could be.
And this particular attitude gave rise to multiple bad reviews like, "This place is absolutely horrible," and "The food is nasty. There were pre-cooked cocktails." Eventually, these bad reviews summed up together gave them a very poor 2.7-star rating on Yelp. Unsurprisingly, Piratz Tavern closed for good in 2015, partly because of the negative reviews they got from mocking Jon's efforts. When bar owners act childishly and resist change, even a prime location can't save them. Next, another bar would see just how quickly a temporary makeover can unravel. The Dugout is a dive bar located next to Wrigley Field in Chicago, owned by Ed Cressy, a landlord who took over the bar in 2011 when the previous owners couldn't pay rent. At first, the location gave it a natural advantage. During baseball season, the bar made solid money thanks to the constant flow of fans.
It's Cub season, we're packed door to door, and everything's great.
But once the season ended, everything collapsed, combining his lack of experience with losses reaching up to $30,000 in the off-season.
$30,000 in debt on a corporate credit card and lost $5,000 a month.
And that inconsistency exposed deeper problems. Staff complained about Ed's leadership, or lack of it, as he drank heavily and argued with employees instead of running the business.
You literally want people to come in and run your bar so you don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
That's not real! That's not a thing! He's nowhere to be found.
I gotta open it up, close it, do this, do that, do this, do this, do this, do that, and all you gotta do, shh, I'm a bartender.
Every day.
When Jon Taffer arrived with mixologist Phil Wills and chef Ryan Scott, the issues became obvious almost immediately. The bar lacked identity despite being in a prime location.
You see the t-shirt shop and the pizza place more than you see the bar.
Oh yeah, it just kind of blends into everything.
Drinks were poorly made, and the kitchen was in terrible condition, with flies and unsafe food practices. One of Ed's signature drinks, bizarrely named Hot Pussy Shot and stored in a jug, only made things worse, as Jon immediately condemned it for a bar that was expecting 40-year-old men.
Cinnamon, brown sugar, and habanero pepper.
You don't do it in a sports bar with a 40-year-old customer in a room.
Do you guys not have a burger or anything like that?
Only on game days.
Although Ed was hesitant to accept Jon's changes, he shut down the kitchen on the spot, throwing out contaminated food and demanding a full reset.
Do you want to eat it, Ed? Sure. Sure, you'll eat it. Your hands are all over it anyway. Look at this place. Is your house all?
Not at all.
After repeated clashes, Jon nearly walked away and even canceled the relaunch after a heated argument with Ed.
Let's get out of here, guys. Good job on a Chicago pride, Ed.
if I care about the bar. I'm glad someone's throwing it in Ed's face.
Despite this, the bar was rebranded by retraining the staff to make proper food and drink, and also renamed it the Press Box, with new decor to attract more customers. And for a brief moment, there was hope. But once filming ended, Ed reverted to old habits, bringing back old menu items and undoing many of the changes, including bringing back the signature drink, Hot Pussy Shot. Ed even took advantage of the new name by moving the Press Box upstairs, while the rebranded bar remained downstairs in the same building with its original name, the Dugout. Soon, the bad reviews started piling up like a daily routine, with one customer saying, "I only received half the food I ordered." But when I called about it, the guy was such a jerk. Still, on how badly they treated their customers, another person also said, "Just tried going there because of bar rescue. There was an employee outside blocking the door, and I asked if they were open. He was extremely rude and barked no, not mentioning when they would open or asked us to come back. Clearly never going there again or recommending it to anyone." With every bad review putting it at a 2.8 star rating on Yelp for the Press Box, which eventually led to its closure, while the Dugout Bar is also struggling to survive with a weak 3-star review on Yelp, proving that no amount of expert help can fix a business that refuses to fix itself.